I'm Mark Waite. Welcome back to Mark My Words. Today I want to talk to you about a few things around rebuilding you. You know, when you've either been through a setback or currently trying to comprehend the gravity of what's just happened to you, eventually, and I say eventually because it does take time to get to a place where you're actually ready to start thinking about rebuilding. You know, I think shock is a real thing, and I think for me, at least a year to get to a point where I was ready to start to think about rebuilding my life. Now, you might relate to that. You might think, well, why would it take you that long? I don't know. For me, that's just how I responded to it. A lot of it was, just how we do. I think we all react to shock in different ways. But whether it takes you one day, 1 week, or 1 year to begin to be ready to rebuild, whatever that time it takes, just understand that that's what it takes. And eventually you get to a place, though, where you are ready to make some proactive decisions and back it up with some actions around rebuilding. And one of the things that I want to talk to you today about is not just rebuilding the material external things. I mean, rebuilding the assets you've lost, and the money, the relationship, etc. But it's more around rebuilding you, and I want to challenge you with it, because I believe that the biggest reward that I have received from deciding to rebuild and then going ahead and rebuilding my life after being totally derailed financially and in my relationship, in my marriage. One of the key foundational things, and the thing I'm thankful for the most, is the personal growth that I was able to achieve, and to be honest, still learning through the process of rebuilding my life after a catastrophic setback. Now, that's what I wish for you more than anything. Yes, you can have the houses and the cars and the money and the assets and the investments and all that back, even bigger and more in more volume, quantity, and size than before. But I think that needs to be a byproduct of who you've become, because once you heal yourself internally and you become stronger and you take the lessons from the setback and the keys you applied to your life consistently over time, it makes you become a better person. Makes you become stronger. It increases your capacity, your resilience, and the things that you probably don't really value as much right now as you will, as you start to begin to see the everything return into your life, because you start to get an internal confidence that you literally start saying to yourself things like, man, if I can overcome this, then I can overcome anything. And that's without being arrogant and cocky, that is a great, solid way to be. It's a great way to live. It's a great way to think about your capacity to confront challenges head on, and you find a way around them, over them, under them, through them somehow, is just a tremendous asset that you'll develop more and more. You possibly already have a capacity to some point to do that, but I will guarantee you that as you start to rebuild and implement the steps and implement the behaviors and the patterns and the habits required to rebuild, you'll become a stronger person. And one of those key things is, for me, and I want to outlay a few of these as we go on this video, but not on the video, but on the channel. The first one for me was I had to get over the hurt, and for me to do that, I needed to forgive those who had hurt me. And forgiveness, I've done a bold step around forgiveness, but I just want to reiterate that if you're carrying around unforgiveness, and you've still got angst towards a person or people that have, in your mind, contributed to your setback, then it's going to be really hard, if not impossible, to rebuild on a solid foundation. I want to challenge you to think about developing the strength and the inner character to forgive that person or people. Your ex-partner, your ex-wife, husband, whatever it might be. If you literally feel negative emotions towards that person, it's a fair chance you haven't forgiven them. And as a result of that, the person you'll become is more than likely going to be a very bitter person in time. So your future is too important to you and those around you who you love to come off second best in that way. I want to encourage you to really think about forgiving those people. The other thing is, to start to understand that, the skills you'll learn from here on in is invaluable, will become invaluable to you. Once you've forgiven the people who have hurt you, the next person you need in your life is a mentor, is a coach, a life coach. I have a passion to help people get through successfully what I've been through, and that is business and or marriage collapse, in my case both. And I want to create a movement, if you like, of people who have rebuilt their lives in a glorious way, and made the comeback of all comebacks. And I want to create a community of people like that who can encourage and inspire others who are going through the same thing. Because as you know, it's painful, right? But I long for the day to see you rebuild and re-establish yourself in a position of strength, much stronger in all areas of life than you were before the setback happened to you. That is possible. I guarantee that is totally possible if you want it bad enough. And that's the thing. You've got to want that bad enough. And by that I mean you've got to be prepared to make the tough decisions that some of these decisions don't make, they go against what normal people would do. And that is, forgiveness is one of those, right? You could be probably justified, and you could find a heap of people that could agree with you as to why you'll never forgive that person. But if I can just share with you that you don't want to end up there, you don't want to be in that place, you don't want to be that guy or that girl, you want to be that person who's free of it. And because freedom is such a great reward, unforgiveness will age you quick, and I've seen unforgiveness manifest itself in people's lives in more ways than mentally. It's a physical manifestation. Things like arthritis and high blood pressure and heart disease and stress that's caused from not being free within your spirit is just not worth it. It's just not worth it. So they may or may not deserve your forgiveness, but you're not doing it for them as much as you're doing it for you. Okay? Develop a mentor. Have a mentor. Find someone in your life who you really respect, you trust, and who you can talk to, and who's a good listener, and who has your best interests at heart. That's important to find that person. I was lucky. I had a couple of guys who I developed close relationships with to help me get a perspective as I was going through different stages and phases of my recovery. I could talk to these guys and be really open and honest with them around various things that I was thinking and steps I was about to take. I found like they were my accountability partner. Guys that just didn't necessarily have to have all the answers. They just were willing to listen, and we went camping and up in the high plains, and we had around an open fire, just had a barbecue and had a few drinks and had just a good old conversation around if I did this, this is what will happen. If I do that, this is what could happen. What do you think? And just bounce some ideas off these guys. And I'm really thankful for that. So develop a mentor, get someone who you're close to, who you trust. You may not have that person in your life just yet, but set that as a goal to find a person who you can share your journey with, who you respect. Someone who maybe has been through it before. If you can find that person who's come through it and has had victory over it, their setback, then that's an ideal person if they're willing to help you through it, which most people who have been through that process and that setback are willing to help others. So make that a priority, just to find your mentor. Other things that helped me, just one last thing I'll leave with you was, and this is not the only thing, but this is just one thing I'm just thinking of, is I got involved in a community service, and I wanted to stay active. I didn't want to sit around and have pity parties. Once I decided to rebuild, I wanted to get out and just get around people who are actually adding value to people's lives. And for me, that was the local fire brigade. I became I went and did my minimum skills and became a firefighter with the Country Fire Authority here in Victoria, and it was fun. When I say fun, we went through some pretty hairy times, but the bond and the camaraderie I developed with those guys was at a time where I really needed that focus away from my chaos and onto something which was actually adding value to other people's lives. So can I encourage you to think about what charity or what volunteer work that really means something to you, that you could actually get involved in, and start to give away, because you'll find a real sense of purpose in that and a real sense of value, and it'll help you connect with other people of like mind around that as well, and it helps you heal quicker. So there's a few thoughts. I hope that helps. If what's helping you, what is it that's helping you overcome your setback? Leave some comments in the feed below. If you like this channel and you're getting some value from it, then hit the subscribe button and feel free to comment below, because the more people we can reach and the more people we can help, then that's our goal, right? Is to make the world a better place and to help people overcome what would otherwise be a pretty terrifying time, as we know. So thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.